can you lend me a helping hand? Don't be afraid to ask for that help because you need it sometimes, and it's not fair to think that you can do everything on your own.
So what role does a husband or a significant other play in his wife or, his wife or his significant other healthy identity?
I think husbands and significant others, they play huge roles. I mean, women, we go through so many different changes as we grow old and get older, between the childbirth and the menopause and, just so many different things. You get older and you start getting love handles and stretch marks. You put on a few extra pounds. And so it's easy to start feeling insecure about who you are physically, especially when you relate to your spouse or your significant other. But knowing that your spouse, no matter how much weight you may put on or how many gray hairs start to come in, knowing that your spouse still loves you unconditionally, you're still the apple of his eye, he still loves and thinks that you're beautiful, is really, it means a lot to women. So to knowing that the husband cares about them and being able to hear that from them and showing that, I think that's huge. It's extremely important with the woman's identity.
But what about the dad or the significant other? So many families today find it impossible to make ends meet with just mom and dad, or dad working. Mom and dad now must go to work, and when dad gets home, just like mom, he's deadbeat as well, and he may be feeling as if he's unappreciated. What does dad do?
Yeah, I think it really comes down to trying to have a delicate balance, because it's obviously it's unfair as soon as dad walks home for mom to just immediately throw all this stuff on him because he needs some time to unwind. But kind of finding that balance and setting maybe just a schedule. So when I come in, I need at least a couple hours, an hour or so to kind of debrief, and then we can go into let's see what the children need help with. So having a balance and setting a schedule up between what roles each person will play in the household, I think it's extremely important also so that no one feels overwhelmed or underappreciated or feel like they're doing all of the work and the other person isn't doing anything.
Gotcha. Exonation Berme Dyer is our special guest this hour. We're talking to Berme about her book. It's entitled Getting Past the Ugly Through the Beauty of Self-Love, 30 Devotions for Higher Self-Esteem. Her website is berme.net. What are some of the devotions for self-higher esteem?
Let's see. So I have 30 different devotions. One of the devotions I have in my book and I'm looking at it in front of me is Break Free Independently. Break Free Independently really talks about we as human nature, it's human nature for us we seek validation from other people. But at the end of the day, really that validation has to come from ourselves. When I look at myself, I have to be happy with who I am. I have to be happy with the decisions I make. So breaking free independently, not necessarily expecting other people to encourage me or compliment me. I have to be able to find that within me. Defining your beauty, that comes with also being able to validate yourself, not necessarily looking outside for external validation to define who I am and what my beauty is. When I'm able to give myself, or when you're able to give yourself or define your own beauty, you never lose because you go by your own rules. And if you say that you're beautiful, then you are. Let's see. One of my other titles is called Leave Your Mark. And one of the major reasons I wrote this book was really to try and get past the ugly. So and my ugly was just me not liking who I was, the way I looked. But anyway, your ugly might be something completely different. It could be insecurities about your success level or how much money you make or whatever. Whatever your ugly is, the book, really the ultimate goal of it is to get past that insecurity and bring the person to a place where they're able to leave their mark in society and use their gifts and use their talents and bring that back and give that back to the world. And so the title, this is towards the end of the book, which is called Leave Your Mark, really encourages people to look at themselves and what gifts, what talents, what skills that they have that they can give back to society. Gotcha.
How difficult is it to be a woman in today's world?
I think it can be a little challenging because there definitely seems like there's some double standards. And now the women are required, like you mentioned before, not only to be the homemaker, but also to be the breadwinner as well. You have a lot of mothers who are single mothers raising their children, and so they're doing everything for the child, for the household. They're running the entire empire. And so not only are you expected to be a mother, expected to be the breadwinner, you're expected to look good and to be super mom. So I definitely think that it can be quite a challenge to wear all of the different hats that's required of women, oftentimes, especially single moms.
And then, of course, there's the workplace where mom has, I would imagine that mom has always got to try and do better to prove herself against the males who are doing the same job, because in so many places women are making less money than men for doing the same job. How does this affect her, and how can she get past this?
That is an issue. I know we're still making strides. I know there was a law passed just recently, last year, I believe it was. Can't remember the name of the law off the top of my head, where we're working to try and bring that equality within the workplace. It's something that we do have to deal with as women, but some of that has to deal with us as far as being confident, not being afraid to ask for what we believe that we're worth, not undervaluing ourselves, and being willing to believe that we're worth it and asking for it. Some of that really has to do with the confidence that we bring as women, and needing to have that confidence and not being afraid to ask for what we feel we're worth.
What was the hardest part for you as an author in writing your book?
The hardest part, and I tell people this when I talk about the book, the book is only about 140 pages, but it took me 10 years to write it. And it took me 10 years, and I couldn't figure out why it was taking so long. But at the end of the journey, I realized it was because I had spent so much time running from myself, running from the truth of who I was, and not really wanting to deal with the fact that I really didn't like who I was. Mm-hmm. And I was using so many different other outlets to try and to cover up my feelings. And so just sitting down and writing and facing my feelings and my emotions, I think that was the most difficult part. And then putting it on paper, because it's always embarrassing to let other people know that this is what was going on with you. And so it was really scary.
All right, stand by. You and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. XO Nation. M Dyer is our special guest this hour, and Berme is the author of Getting Past the Ugly Through the Beauty of Self-Love, 30 Devotions for Higher Self-Esteem, and her website is www.berme.net, and that's BERMIE.net. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center around the world, right here from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to send us an email, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. I'll be back on the other side of the news with Berme as we continue talking this hour about how a woman's understanding of beauty can help her in motherhood. I'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away. Are you considering calling a psychic to read your situation? Then consider David Champion, a psychic medium for more than 20 years with thousands of readings under his belt. David Champion will make you feel comfortable. He has proven to be honest and accurate. He's a straight shooter. There's no guesswork. What he sees is what you get. While he is a medium, most of the calls focus on relationships, not only love, but work, school, neighbors, and more. Need help with finding a job and preparing for the interview? Are you dealing with people who are obstacles in your path? For more information, go to davidchampion.com, $1.50 per minute paid by credit card with a minimum of 30 minutes. For your reading with David Champion, call 1-877-702-8598. That's 1-877-702-8598. Now you can dial in to listen to the X-Zone Radio Show from anywhere in the world with Rob McConnell 24/7, 365 by dialing 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080. If you have a mobile phone or landline, the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is now at your beck and call at 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080, 24/7, 365.
This is Elizabeth Joyce with your stargazing for the week of May 11th. The sky is busy this week, and you might not know which energy is affecting you or when. It promises to be a rather quiet week, but Venus is now in fiery Aries. There may be tension in your love life because you want what you want, but you can't seem to get it. This week is sure to keep a tight grip on your money as well as your heart. The Taurus sun loves simplicity, but the opposition from the full moon in intense Scorpio on Wednesday, May 14th requires a look into self-worth issues. It's time for completions when it's best to wrap up projects and finalize deals. It's also time to find a balance between that which you need to let go of and holding on tightly to your status quo security blanket. The time is coming for you to work hard and make your dreams come true. Sirius Saturn conjuncts the moon and adds a layer of responsibility and perhaps some doubts and delays. These are more likely to come up around resources, especially money, but delays are always subject to close scrutiny. Knowing what you need and what you're willing to give up is key to using this revolutionary energy. Wednesday brings a day of emotional reckoning. An emotionally severe full moon in Scorpio will link up close karmic issues with Saturn. Letting go of a deep, dark secret or personal demon is called for, but Saturn demands that you learn the lessons that you're meant to learn relating to the situation first. Emotions will be intense, that's for sure. Perhaps you need to let go of one of your most obsessive love tendencies so it will no longer eat you alive. Or if there are unsavory financial happenings in your life, it's possible you're going to have to pay the piper now. The Grand Cross from April is still in play. You must create time for this softer side to come out. The action and force-oriented cardinal signs are pushing for immediate action, while there is a softer water element, the Grand Trine, which is asking you to work patiently with the natural forces of the universe. There are sudden and unexpected opportunities to meet new friends or prosper from innovative ideas. The trick is to know which opportunities are real and which are illusion. Use the intuitive feminine Grand Trine to help with your discernment. Your decisions will be revolutionary but gracefully executed. Also, the love planet Venus will connect to Uranus over the weekend, so romance should really sizzle.
And for more information about Elizabeth Joyce or how you can contact Elizabeth for a one-on-one private consultation, visit her website at www.new-visions.com. That's www.new-visions.com. Explanation, Berme Dyer is our special guest this hour. And Berme is the author of Getting Past the Ugly Through the Beauty of Self-Love, 30 Devotions for Higher Self-Esteem. Her website is www.berme.net. Berme, let me ask you this. What realization does a busy, multitasking mom need to come to in order to be happy and to emotionally healthy moving forward?
Well, I think one of the most important things is really just trying to set priorities. Like we mentioned before, we're so busy and there's so much on our plate. So having that, setting priorities with the most important things that we need to accomplish in the day is going to help us, because there's no way that we can get everything accomplished in a day's time. Then not being afraid to say no, I think that's huge as well. We overextend ourselves and our children with so many different obligations and so many different commitments. Saying no to all the obligations, saying no to taking on additional responsibilities that are going to overextend us. It's okay to say no sometimes. Sometimes we really have a hard time with that. And then working on finding a delicate balance where you have some time that you do allow yourself the time to spend and take time for yourself. Some women really feel bad and feel guilty about saying, I need to take a little bit of time away from the family to re-energize and rejuvenate myself. But if you think about yourself being you're constantly pouring into and filling other people's lives, if you have this cup and you're constantly filling it and pouring into someone else's, what happens when that cup is empty? Then you don't have anything left. So we as women have to realize that it's okay. Don't feel guilty when you have to take that time. Fill that cup up, and you'll be all the better when you're coming back from that rejuvenation to fill and pour into your children and your family. Taking that time.
In today's busy society, I would imagine it's time that